Speaking of sushi, some sushi has paprika, and that is the film we did today. Was that all right?
No, it'll work.
Does sushi have paprika? I don't know. I don't like sushi. I'm
not sure.
I don't like it at all. Justin, you eat sushi, right?
Yeah, you could probably put anything in there. I mean, I don't think there's any rules of what you can and can't put in it.
Yeah. The only rule is you can't cook half the shit, which I don't know if I like that rule.
I think sashimi is like the raw fish on the rice, but sushi, they have like cooked stuff. They have stuff that doesn't even have any kind of like animal in it. You know, just like vegetarian ones.
All right, well, that wraps up this portion of Seafood with the MacGuffin Guild. Now,
it's our new segment.
Let us know how you like it, and we'll gauge whether we should continue with it next week or not.
Yeah, next week we'll tell you how to prepare sea bass.
On this episode of the MacGuffin Guild, when a machine that allows therapists to enter their patients' dreams is stolen, all hell breaks loose. Only a young female can stop it, and that is Paprika. This 2006 Japanese animation fantasy stars Megumi Hayashibara, Toru Furuya, Koichi Yamadera, and Akio Otsuka, directed by the legendary Satoshi Kon. We're going to talk about the works and tragedy of Satoshi Kon, subbed versus dubbed, confusion in film, dream jokes, the dangers of texting, the connection between dreams and the internet, and escapism. We'll dig into Spicy Pits, Pat's Sapporo experience, comparisons to Inception, dreams within dreams, Bundy Doors, and why second viewings are sometimes really important. I'm Pat Dougherty, and as always, I'll be joined by my fellow MacGuffins, Justin Jones and Mike Antonio. Our theme song was written and performed by Jordan Vincent. Join us where dreams, reality, and the movies merge in Paprika.
I raised you better than this.
And welcome to another episode of the MacGuffin Guild. I am Pat Dougherty, and as you all know, a MacGuffin is a plot device used to drive along a story. And we here on the Guild like to use the film that we select as a MacGuffin to drive along our conversation. So, as always, I am here with my fellow MacGuffins. I have Justin Jones. Justin, how's it going?
Yo, what's going on? Was that too much? What's up? What's popping in the streets?
No, I just love when we try to force these natural conversations.
Yeah, like we weren't just talking for an hour and a half before this. Hey, how you been?
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's always awkward. And you always come to me first. I'm always like, I get the, what do they call them? This spicy pits and stuff. Like
Spicy pits?
Is that what they call them?
I think somebody used to say that. Oh, I'm spicy. Yeah.
All right.
Swamp pits.
Well, other than spicy, everything's going well.
Yeah, which is very suiting since this movie's called Paprika.
That's true. You got paprika pits?
Yeah, it's a movie about spicy pits.
All right. Speaking of the pits, Mike Antonio.
Ouch.
I'm sorry. How's it going, Mike?
Well, as usual, I was doing pretty good until now.
No, but things are going well, though.
Yeah. Everything's good.
Good. All right. Well, today's film, you want to get into it? Everybody ready? We'll just kick this thing off.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, Justin, drinking with JJ. What are you drinking?
Today. So I was trying to think. I started looking up stuff because this is a Japanese animated film. So I was like, you could do a lot of stuff with that. So I was like, I could do green tea, which is what I was going to do at first, but I was like, that's kind of boring. Then I went to the liquor store, and I was like looking around. The liquor store by my work has it's actually a really great liquor store, but it has a section of sake, and they actually have like a map of Japan and like where each one's from and things like that. It's actually really cool.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. But then I remembered I didn't like sake, so I went and got I got some Sapporo.
Yes, I like Sapporo.
Yeah, but I like I think it's Ichikirin better.
I've never had that.
Yeah, but I just got Sapporo because that's where Satoshi Kon is from, the director.
Okay, cool.
So I got that in honor of him.
So I have a question real quick. The Sapporo, beer. I don't remember which of you, if any, were involved in this, but some of our fellow MacGuffins that are listening may remember this. A bunch of us back in the day went out to Hibachi, and we all apparently had one too many Sapporos while we were there. And that was the time we then went back to the shop afterwards. The shop was where the band, Hallowed Cane, where our band practiced back in the day. And we went to the shop, and for whatever reason, we were all inspired, so we chopped down a tree. Do you remember this?
I was not there for that.
And then, like, the next day, Dana, my bandmate, my brother-in-law, but he was my bandmate in Hallowed Cane, went back up to the shop, and the guy who rented the place next door to us was like, yo, Dana, where did that tree go? And Dana told him, and he was like, dude, that was like an endangered tree. There's only like 10 of them left.
What?
So,
I don't think I heard that part of it.
Yeah, don't ask me what kind of tree it was. I have no idea, but apparently our Sapporo experience, we took down an endangered tree, which we did not know at the time. It was just in a horrible spot, like in the middle of where we parked, you know? Anyway, this week's film is Paprika, 2006. Not to be confused, there was another film called Paprika from like the 90s or something, isn't there?
Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Oh, is there? Okay.
I do know there's another film called Paprika, but this is the 2006 version, and it is an hour and 30 minutes long, rated R. It is animation, drama, fantasy. But before we dig any deeper, first, a spoiler-ravaged synopsis. 3 scientists at the foundation of psychiatric research fail to secure a device they've invented, the DC Mini, which allows people to record and watch their dreams. A thief uses the device to enter people's minds when awake and distract them with their own dreams and those of others. Chaos ensues. The trio, Chiba, Tokita, and Shima, assisted by a police inspector and by a sprite named Paprika, must try to identify the thief as they ward off the thief's attacks on their own psyches. Dreams, reality, and the movies merge, while characters question the limits of science and the wisdom of Big Brother. And it was directed by Satoshi Kon, who apparently is a legend in the Japanese animation field. Is that correct, Justin?
Yes.
He only did, what, 4 films, I believe?
Yeah, but he also passed away young.
Right. This was his final film.
Oh, yeah, it might have been. I'm trying to think, because the 4 that I know of, there's this, Perfect Blue,
Yeah.
Tokyo Godfathers, and...
Millennium Actress.
Yeah, Millennium Actress.
Yeah, so 97 was Perfect Blue, 2001 was Millennium Actress, 2003 was Tokyo Godfathers, 2006 was Paprika.
And then he died in 2010.
47 years old he passed.
How did he die? Do we know?
I think it was cancer. Like pancreatic cancer, I think.
Yeah, pancreatic cancer.
God, that sucks.
Yeah, it's awful.
Of his 4 films, I've seen 2 of them.
What's the other one? Perfect Blue?
Perfect Blue, and I'm a big fan of that movie. We've talked about that before. I don't know if we've talked about it in an episode, but the 3 of us have talked about it.
Yeah.
You know, this is what I think already. I've always been, obviously, we have friends that have enjoyed Japanese animation over the years. And there's certainly been times where I've dabbled in it because, you know, I'd hear you guys or, you know, some of our other friends talking about it. So I think I've always been hesitant to dive into it, though, because it's so vast. There's so much out there that I feel like I'm never going to be able to even like make a dent in it. So I was kind of afraid.
It's a bit intimidating.
It's very intimidating.
Yeah. There's a lot.
But,
yeah.
But here's what I think. Now that I know he only did the 4 films, I think I really do want to watch his 4 films.
Sure.
If I just use that as my, let's start with those 4.
Yeah.
And see where it goes from there.
I think that's a good spot for you too, because I think there's like different types, and so right off the bat, I'll just let people know I'm not like, I love like animated films and Japanese animated films and stuff, but I'm in no shape or form or anything an expert. But I know there's like different types and they have different names based on what they are. But I feel like this particular type is more like kind of in this cinematic vein of like stuff that you are already into.
Yeah.
Like based on what he was inspired by, and then in turn who he inspired, I think.
Yeah.
you know.
I've said that. I think I've said this before. Like if you're gonna see Perfect Blue, like that to me is like a regular film just animated. Like I could see that as a live action film, and it would play pretty much the same.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because he even would get not harassed, but people would constantly ask him like, "Oh, are you going to do a live action film? Are you going to do?" And he's like, I guess repeatedly he was like, "I have no interest in doing live action films. I have no."
Well, that's great though that he just stuck with what he was really good at instead of like watering it down. Why go play football when you're a baseball all-star? You know, like just stick with what you're great at.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Rotten Tomatoes. Justin, would you care to guess what this has on the tomato meter?
I would say this is pretty high just because this feels like a critics type movie. I'm actually going to go as far as going 92.
92? Mike?
I say 86.
Mike is real close. 84.
Damn, oh, wow.
I was originally going to say 85.
But it is certified fresh.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and that's based on 90 reviews.
Okay.
What does that mean anyway? We mentioned that before. I don't know what certified fresh means.
The certified fresh seal is reserved for movies that satisfy two criteria: the tomato meter of 75% or better, and at least 80 reviews, 40 for limited release movies.
Okay.
So films earning this status will keep it unless the positive critical percentage drops below 70%.
Oh, wow.
So
It's all horse apples anyway.
Yeah. But it's still interesting.
I don't really like this trend that we've been on of like having all these like really highly well-regarded movies. I think on our next lot, listeners tune in because I'm gonna go back in the dumpster to the stuff that really is close to my heart.
yeah, exactly.
Look, last week we had Chappie, 30-something%, 32% or 34 or something. So
That's true.
So audience score, Justin.
What did I say for critics? I said 92 and it ended up being 90 or 86.
I said 86 and it was 84.
I think the audience is going to actually be pretty close to that. So I'm going to say I'll go 86.
Okay, Mike.
I'm going to go 81.
No, Justin's close. It's 87.
Wow.
I thought the audience would be a little lower.
So let's give a little range here. So obviously lots of positivity in this one. Let's start with some negatives first and just get them kind of off our plate.
Okay.
So we got Roger Moore from Orlando Sentinel.
James Bond?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. I was like, what? What happened? With a conventional invade dreams, bend reality plot, it's a bit of a bore.
When was this review from? Does it have a date?
2007.
All right, so that's pretty close around the time of the release. So I'm also curious, too, like how people... This is going to be tricky, too, because I wonder how many... I don't even know if this came out dubbed, but I wonder how many people, if it did, how many people watched it dubbed versus subbed.
Oh, I watched it subbed.
Yeah, because I feel like subbed is the only really way to go.
Yeah.
Like, dubbed is more convenient, but I feel like they changed the story and they changed things around.
They do, yeah.
A good example of that is... what was it? Let the Right One In. When I saw that, I first saw dubbed, and I was like, I don't see what the big hubbub is about this movie. And then I watched it subbed later on. I was like, oh man, I missed like half of what was going on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's not good.
No.
All right. Richard Nilsson from Arizona Republic. You could sit through the film 2 or 3 times to nail down the details of the story, but the film isn't interesting enough to warrant a second look.
I completely disagree because I think it requires a second look.
Yeah.
As Mike will tell you.
Bruce Westbrook from Houston Chronicle. Is it sci-fi, fantasy, idiocy? Mostly, it's a droning mess. Pretty to look at, but confounding to the point where you just don't care anymore.
I completely don't get that at all. Like, at all.
I was completely lost watching this movie. I'm not going to lie. I had no clue what was happening the entire time, but I still watched the entire thing, and I think the animation is what held my attention because, like, it was so gorgeous to look at. Like, and then I read.
There's some really interesting techniques they use too.
And I read afterwards, like, about like what actually happened, and I was like, okay, I kind of see it. I'm still confused as fucking hell, but I kind of understand it now more than I did when I actually watched it. But
So this one here is it's lumped in with the negatives, but I'm not so sure that it is, because it looks to me like they scored it an 84 out of 100, which seems higher on the scale. And this seems more like an observation than like him trashing it. So this is Philip Martin from Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Watching anime is like hearing a foreign language in which you are fluent but not native. However much you believe you understand, you can never be sure you totally get it. I 100% agree with that.
I think that's a good point, because I actually had the privilege of watching it with Sarah, and Sarah is very, like, you know, how much she loves, like, Japanese culture and things like that, and she's been a huge, like anime fan since, like, I don't know, way before I met her. She's been, like, into this stuff for a long time. She likes to research things, and so she knows all the little nuances, like, even when the one character calls her Achan or something like that, she's like, that's a more, like, personal, more affectionate name. Like, I don't know, maybe like calling someone like, oh, okay, hun, or something like that. And that's why she gets like, she's like, don't call me that. Like, there's a whole subtext that you're missing if you're not familiar with.
I totally missed that, because I wondered why. In fact, and I can get to it later, but when I wrote all the characters' names down, I put that down as like one of her names, but I didn't understand. I didn't understand the context of it.
Yeah, I think they have, again, I'm not an expert on this too, but I think they have like different name, like you have like a professional way of greeting people, and then you have a more personal way of greeting people. Like the way you and I would like have a conversation with each other might be different than the way you and your boss would have a conversation, or like, you know.
Yeah.
Formal and informal.
Yeah.
All right, Larry Ratliff, San Antonio Express News. Solely as a magical mystery tour of sights, sounds, and surrealism. However, it's a unique animated blast to the senses. So obviously, overall, he scored it 2.5 out of 4, which is still above
average, above middle ground.
Above average,
middle ground there. But anyway, that's really all the negatives I have before me here. Oh, here we go. I got to do this one. One more negative. Jason Ferguson from Orlando Weekly. Visually fantastic, logically flawed, and incredibly dull, just like your friend's dreams.
Oh, I guess he's talking about like when someone's telling you about some dream they had, and it's like all amazing to them, and then they're like, yeah, and I was eating like 4 pizzas at the same time, and Abraham Lincoln was there. First we were in a boat, but then we weren't in a boat anymore. I don't know how, you know.
My dog was a butler. All right, I got to continue with these negatives because
there's more?
It's conversation fodder at this point. Devin Faraci from Chud says Paprika is yet another incoherent anime that's more interested in its warmed-over visuals than indulging in any kind of storytelling or character work.
Disagree.
I think it's intricately wound storytelling that's kind of all over the place, but, you know, comes together.
Oh, I guarantee it's a cohesive story. I guess I'm not smart enough to get it. Like, I feel like it made sense.
Well, again, I think, like what Justin said, it's not that you're not smart enough. It's just a lot to take in upon first view.
True.
One more negative. Steve Rhodes, Internet Reviews. Paprika is for dyed-in-the-wool anime fans only. Others will likely see it for what it is, a pretentious piece of animated nonsense.
What?
All right.
I kind of believed the first part. I was on board, but then he lost me when he said it was pretentious or whatever. I think if you don't get something, just get the balls just to say I didn't get it, and then be like, instead of like attacking it and being like,
yeah, I almost think that makes matters worse. Instead of you just being like, look, maybe I don't have the bandwidth to handle what I just witnessed,
or I'm missing some pieces or something.
Yeah, but by you saying no one will ever understand this movie unless you're a hardcore anime fan, that kind of makes you look like a potential asshole when other people watch it and they're like, oh, I get it. I thought it was great. That guy's a tool.
Yeah.
You know?
Because honestly, the first time I saw it, I didn't really get it. And even with Sarah kind of putting little pieces in there and explaining things like the relationships between people and what certain words mean in certain contexts and all that, I still at the end, I was like, yeah, that was really cool, but I kind of didn't fully grasp it. And then the second time I watched it, man, I was like, everything was just kind of clicking then. And I'm like, oh, this makes so much more sense now.
Okay, so your first viewing experience is where I'm at now.
Yeah, exactly.
I would imagine Pat's kind of in the same boat.
Well, here's what happened. Again, because of sometimes my schedule messes up my movie viewing, I had to split this in 2 viewings.
Oh God, I can't imagine doing that with this movie.
Well, it helped me.
Really?
Because what happened then, just like with the Holy Mountain, I watched half of that movie. Now, this isn't by choice, and I don't like doing this, but sometimes I have to fit things in when I can fit them in. So I watched the Holy Mountain just like I did Paprika. I watched half of it, and that gave me so much time to absorb what I witnessed and kind of like connect dots and make sense of what I saw and try to remember actions and characters. So then when I sat back down, I was kind of like, okay, let's take the information that I've now absorbed and continue on the ride. So I think it helped me in this case.
I'm kind of envious of that power that you can do that, Pat. Like, you can watch like the first half of a movie and then think about it and then watch the second half and pick right back up. I can't do that.
It helps that with the MacGuffin Guild now that and this is not normal, that I take notes.
Well,
so
yeah, true.
That's what helps me.
True.
Because I'm writing things down as I'm going. So then when I have time to kind of look things over and think about it, I have something in front of me. All right, so Ard Vin from Screen Anarchy says, this is what animation is meant to be. Fernando F. Croce said...
Moving on.
Yeah.
Boring. Thanks for your positive, boring review.
Too positive. Sucks. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Fernando F. Croce from Cinepassion. Reality and fantasy leak into each other in short-circuiting jolts of Khan's cosmos. Troy Patterson from Spin. Though Khan sometimes hits on startling visions ripped straight from your head last night, he's ultimately more interested in film theory than the Freudian sort, evoking dreams in a way that's more faithful to dream sequences.
I mean, I do feel like he takes a lot of the kind of dream tropes that people have. Like when the cop was like running down the hallway and it's like he's not moving and the hallway's just kind of moving, but he's like running, but nothing's happening. Like, you know, things like that.
Yeah, and then the one scene that really stuck out with me was when Chiba Atsuko, she was the business, the real world version of Paprika.
Oh, gotcha,
yeah.
When she was getting ready to hop a fence, and then she realized she was in the dream, and she almost jumped off of a balcony.
Yeah.
That was pretty wild.
It's kind of like, what's that joke? I had a dream I was eating a giant marshmallow and woke up with my pillow in my mouth. Or
yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Or I had a dream I bowled a perfect game but woke up with one pin standing.
Nice.
All right, let's do a couple more positives, and then we'll get to Justin's history with this one. This is Mark Savlov from Austin Chronicle. Paprika, while certainly not suitable for kids, manages to capture the childlike helter-skelter chaos of curiosity of the human mind better than any other animated film. Peter Howell, Toronto's Star. As a showcase of the limitless power of the imagination, Paprika never fails to delight the eye and engage the mind. We are never sure exactly whom we should be cheering for, or even if we're rooting for real characters or their avatars. So, let's take this to your history, Justin. You brought this one to the Guild, so how did it get here?
So, I think like growing up in the 80s, I think we were kind of introduced to things here and there. Voltron, and I think even like to like stuff that's animated overseas, like in Asia in general.
Yeah.
Because I think even like the old Transformers cartoons, I think were animated in Korea or something like that. So I always kind of liked that style. And then like when I was in high school or junior high, I remember, again with the Sci-Fi Channel, I remember one weekend I was just at home doing nothing. They had like a anime weekend. And they had like Vampire Hunter D, Lensman, Tank Police. I can't remember. It was a bunch of them. I just watched all of them and I loved it. It was great. Sarah kind of started introducing me to some other stuff I hadn't seen. And a few years ago, we watched Perfect Blue. And I loved it. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. And it was so great. And she's like, oh, she started telling me about his other movies. So recently, kind of somewhat recently, we watched Paprika. Again, it was like the same vibe. Actually, I think I was telling you guys, I almost picked Perfect Blue.
Yes.
But the reason why I picked Paprika over Perfect Blue was I felt like Paprika was more fun and lighthearted. You know what I mean? Where Perfect Blue is just a little more bleak and dark.
Oh, sure.
Which, you know, which is fine. I love those types of movies, but like as far as like what we do here and having light discussions, I figured Paprika kind of felt more in that pepper
Let
shed.
me ask you then, without going too far down the Perfect Blue path, and no spoilers obviously, but is that's not dream based or anything like that? Is that just kind of like takes place in like a real world scenario? Perfect Blue.
Yes,
for the most part.
Yeah, that one's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about like pop idol stars and
Murder mystery type of deal.
murder mystery. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
It's a thrill. That's a thriller, basically.
Yeah.
Or a giallo, as I always said. It's like an anime giallo.
Nice.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it's been years since I've seen it, and actually I can't recall a whole bunch from it. So I kind of watched some scenes from it recently, just trying to jog my memory so I could talk about it. It wasn't enough to to make a difference. I was like, I kind of still don't remember this too well.
Mm-hmm. So, anything else to add, Justin, before we swing over the mic? That's it? Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty weak, but that's all I got.
No, that's perfect. Mike, what's your history?
Like Justin, I'm like a casual. I've seen like the big ones, Akira, Ninja Scroll, Vampire Hunter D, both of those. Things like that. I've seen Ghost in the Shell, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
And all those are great. Like I love them. I have surprise, I have them all on Blu-ray.
Jesus.
Like all the ones I just mentioned. Yeah. And some random Perfect Blue. So. Yeah, I'm a casual fan. I have a small collection of anime films, like probably not even a dozen. So I was already aware of Perfect Blue, so I was already interested. And then Justin, I know he was having that debate of whether he was going to do Perfect Blue or this. He had mentioned that earlier to us previously, and
we heard.
I'm glad he picked this one because it's one I haven't seen. Like Perfect Blue, I've seen a few times already.
Yeah.
So I was happier to get a new one that I wanted to see anyway. But so it was a first time viewing for me. That's my history.
Okay. So my history with this, again, just like Mike, no history. I just watched it over the last couple of days for the first time, and that's it. That's the history.
And,
so
and
I'm
you
excited.
You had never seen any of his films.
No.
Previous.
Nope, not a single
Yeah.
one. No. No, I've seen I could probably, and it's horrible, I know, but I could probably count on one hand the amount of Japanese animation films I've seen. So two things I want to do really quickly before we transition to the next phase, whatever that may be. Apparently there's only one tagline for this film.
Can you read it? Is it in Japanese only?
No, it's in English. So the tagline is, "This is your brain on anime." That's a very Americanized tagline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Yeah, that's the only one listed on IMDb. The other thing that I wanted to point out, which is pretty heart-wrenching,
Oh boy.
is Satoshi Kon has another film that had been announced, Dreaming Machine. And obviously it's not done yet. Now, what they say about it is on August 24th, 2010, writer-director Satoshi Kon passed away from pancreatic cancer, leaving the film's production postponed until Studio Madhouse has the funds to resume development. Despite many setbacks, the film's current owner is dedicated on completing Kon's film true to his initial vision.
Yeah.
So that's, sad.
Yeah. 46, man. That's crazy.
It's awful. It's awful.
He just seemed like a super cool dude. Like, just the stuff he was into and just the way, he was. So, it's a shame.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
it
a damn
sucks.
shame. But it's so funny how that happens, man. In the world we live in, some of the most talented, skilled, inspiring, game-changing, earth-changing figures that we've had, whether it be, in entertainment, politics, whatever. I mean, you look back at like the forefathers of even our country, like some of these guys were like 32 when they died. It's like, how did you accomplish all that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling, but some of the most insane talent that we've ever seen is just they're with us for a really short amount of time.
Oh, sure,
It's just insane.
Candle burns twice as bright, half as long. Type
That's right.
Thing.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, it's like even in high school, I remember when I found out about the 27 Club.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, well, it's like at least they had a good run and all. I don't know. It's like, but now that I'm older, I'm like, holy shit, all this stuff, like the albums that these guys put out and everything. By the time, like to me now, they're babies at 27.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's it. They're kids, man.
Yep.
It's nuts. By 27, I was not prepared for anything of substance. It took me a long time to get my head out of my ass.
Yeah.
But
yeah, same here, man. I feel like I just now got into my 20s mental wise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, welcome.
Like I just thank you.
Yeah.
I felt like I was a teenager trapped in an adult's body for years, but now I'm like, well, I feel like I'm like 25 now.
I definitely still have my head up your ass.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
But I will say this. Looking at what he accomplished, now, again, I've only watched one of his films so far, but subject matter, take it or leave it. But you look at the production quality, you look at the development of the characters, you look at, just like the total package of what he produced. It's insane. And that's what, buku respect. Even if you watch this film and you're like, I have no fucking idea what's going on. This is garbage. No, you can't take it that far. It's not garbage, and it will never be garbage. Now, maybe it's not your thing, and that's fine. But the production quality on this is insane.
Oh, yeah.
So it's gorgeous.
And maybe just like animation or Japanese animation just isn't your thing. But like I challenge anyone who has seen it and like either didn't get it or like maybe just didn't like it, maybe watch it again. Because like I said, the second time I watched it, I picked up so much more.
Yeah.
Even like casual things like when I can't even remember characters' names. This is going to be awful. When
Well, I got them all written here. Which guy?
the guy that was the I don't even know how to describe him. He was like the younger, taller.
Osani.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah, he was the guy that kind of worked with them, the thin guy that during the skin scene.
Correct.
Yeah.
So even when he like goes into the little short guys that dress like a doll into their apartment, and he just glances over and sees all like the dirty books and stuff, just like the look, like the look he gives it and stuff. Like it had more of an impact watching it the second time. Like, oh,
okay,
that's like, especially now you know how things went. Like you kind of understand his disdain, for what he saw.
Yeah, there's a lot packed into this one.
Yeah.
Unless you guys have anything you want to bring up before we dive into this, I have some Pat's points I can read through, or is there anything about this film you want to dig into first?
Well, real quick, I just wanted to say, like, I was surprised when I saw one person in this movie who I didn't know was in it. Were you guys surprised when you saw Professor X?
Oh. I wasn't, but I like when he rolled out behind the bushes, and they were like, "Chairman," and I was like,
Oh yeah.
I was like, yeah. Oh, it took me a second. Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
because he's in a chair.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah.
Anyway,
Christ.
anything else?
No, that's all I got.
So, Justin, you have anything before we do Pat's points?
Yep, I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench in here, and I'm gonna jump in before you do Pat's points.
No, that's okay. That's what I would like you to do.
Because we kind of mentioned like Inception, because I think Christopher Nolan was inspired. I don't know if he went publicly admitted or whatever the case may be, but it's obviously there's some inspiration here. But it was what's the girl's name that's alter ego is like Paprika?
So, her real world is Chiba Atsuko.
Okay.
Yeah, they kept calling her Chiba throughout the film, yeah.
Where it was interesting where she was kind of, and I guess I don't want to tell because we're not talking about Inception, but anyone who's seen it, there's a part where she shares the same characteristic with a character from that movie where she can't have her own dreams anymore. Sarah pointed that out.
That's right.
Yeah. There's also the dreams within a dream type thing, which isn't as heavy in this, but like even at the beginning when you have that first dream sequence, and then Detective Kagawa, when he wakes up, they're in a room. He's in a room with Paprika, which is also a dream state place.
Yeah. So it's Kagawa Tashimi.
Yeah. There was also, Sarah pointed this out because I couldn't remember Perfect Blue, that Paprika, when she does that like bounce walk thing, that was also the same. That was also from Perfect Blue. Like the girl would like kind of do that bounce walk. Yeah.
Huh. I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh, I also, the website he goes to, radioclub.jp.
Mm-hmm.
I went there,
Yep.
or I typed that in my browser, and it just takes me to like a Japanese YouTube channel
Oh, yeah?
Oh, really?
of, it looks like food reviews, maybe? So I guess, am I stealing your points? I just realized I'm just
No,
rattling
not
off
at all.
points.
No, this is great. Keep it
Oh.
coming.
Which is interesting too. So we were talking about Satoshi Kon. We're talking about him, how he did. He was a manga writer first. Mm-hmm. One of the ones he did that was like one of his big ones he's known for was called Opus, which also combines the real world and the dream world kind of, or like the real world and the manga world in this case, like where you don't know where one ends and the other one begins. So that seems to be like a theme that he does. Where it's
Okay,
like
so he's explored with that idea before, and he's just kind of like built on it.
Yeah, it just seems like a reoccurring theme that he kind of like.
The bleeding edge of reality and fantasy, I guess.
Yeah.
So has anyone here seen all 4 of his films?
No.
No. I've only seen the
Justin?
same 2 Mike saw.
The same 2? Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'd be real curious to check out all 4 and see if he dabbles in that concept in any of the others. I mean, obviously, I know he doesn't Perfect Blue, but
No.
I didn't.
There's still some stuff. Well, I don't want to get. Yeah, you should definitely see that one, Pat.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Justin. I'm glad no one else is listening to this conversation. Justin, anything else?
There was also the idea of persona versus self, which we kind of touched on the Chappie
Oh, yeah.
episode. So that was kind of a cool. I feel like at one point we were talking about how we wanted to connect each episode to the episode before it.
Oh, yeah.
And we're like, oh, no, that's too much work. And we kind of abandoned it. But I think it seems to kind of organically happen. It's like, oh, let's spot the things that are the same.
And then next week, Tango and Cash.
Yeah, which was it's practically the same movie. It's the live action version. So yeah, that's all I got. I'll shut up for a bit, and we'll get to. Pat's points.
There we go. Thank you, Justin. All right, so Pat's points. So I'm just going to rattle through some of these we've already touched on. For example, director Satoshi Kon. We've already talked about him. I did not look up anything for this film prior to watching it. In fact, I didn't even know that it involved dreams. So, because my notes even kind of reflect that, because I wrote down, the second note I have here is REM sleep, longer and easier to analyze. Like, I started to like pick up right away that, okay, they were really delving into the whole sleep and dream thing. And then the earlier cycles, according to them, are where the artsy short films happen in our dreams.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? Which I thought was really cool. You know, a cool way to look at, like your early dream phases are like the short films, and then the REM longer phases are the features. Mm-hmm. I then wrote a note down that said, because I looked up, I was like, wait a minute, when did Inception come out? Like, that's what my mindset was.
Yeah.
So I wrote down on here, Inception came out in 2010. So clearly this film was first, pre-Inception. So the DC Mini, we have to talk about what that is. So the DC Mini is the apparatus that they use to...
Dream meld.
Yeah, so when someone puts the DC Mini on, they can dive into their own dream, but then they can creep into other dreams? Like, how would you...
I don't know exactly the science behind it, but I know there's like, once multiple users have them, like you can kind of you connect your dreams together. Like you could jump into other people's dreams and so on and so forth.
So it's like VR with friends.
But I think it goes a
in
little
your
deeper
dreams.
because it seems like it can affect people while they're awake. Like once you get that neural connection.
Yes, they start. It can start happening while not asleep. Yes.
Yeah, which confused. That's the first time I watched it, which kind of confused me. Which when it had the small short doctor guy,
Okay, here.
When he started rambling all the nonsense, and I was like, did I miss something? And then Sarah was like, oh, they must have him. And that's when they started controlling him and putting him in the dream.
Yeah, so Tokita is his name. Mm-hmm. No, I'm sorry. Shima, Tora, the short guy. I'm sorry.
Tokita's the guy who invented it.
Yeah, the really
he's
big
the
guy.
big guy.
Yeah, he like starts talking crazy talk and then like jumps out the window.
Yeah, because I've been accused a time or two of having like Tourette's because I just burst out with random words and stuff. So
yeah,
it's true.
I can see that.
So one of the elements of this film that I thought was extremely intriguing to dig into, what they touched on with the comparison between dreams and the modern day internet.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I think
that's good.
there's something really deep to talk about there, because dreams are our repressed conscious mind where it vents in our dreams. Like that's where it goes there, no rules, get it all out, fine, this way, get up, go to work tomorrow. The internet has become like a living dream for a lot of people, because I think that's how, and I don't want to get into any heavy topics here, but I think a lot of people feel emboldened by the ability to be able to vent their conscious thoughts and feelings and hatreds and anger on the internet with no repercussions for anything. Not that there should be, but there's not. There's no one to say, hey, don't talk to someone like that or don't do that. It's just it's a living dream that has given people an outlet to vent their deep-rooted subconscious feelings that we never had before. And when they said that, it opened up my mind. It like blew my mind how true that is.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you get on the internet and post about it then?
Yeah.
I will.
Well, it's like Louis C.K. I remember I had a bit when he was on Conan one time. It was like, it made sense. And it was like about like, it's like now all this stuff online, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember as well since I've seen it. But he was like, all this stuff online, it's like you're not actually experiencing the reaction from the other person when you're saying something. And that's how, when you're younger, that's how you know not to say something. It's like, you're like, oh, yeah, like you fatso or something to somebody, and you just see that look and you experience that look and that feeling, and you're like, oh, I don't like the way that made me feel when I said that to that person.
Yeah,
and I feel like
hurt
when you're
feelings. I hurt their feelings and I made them sad. I feel like a douchebag. I shouldn't do that.
Right.
There's no checks and balances there.
Yeah, so there's a certain level of development, and we all kind of go through that, and I think we still go through that to some degree, But when you're younger and everybody's kind of like, especially if you come from a family like I think a lot of us have, where like everyone kind of rips on each other and everybody's joking with each other and calling each other names, and and as you're getting older, you're trying to like find, it's like almost like merging into traffic when you learn to drive. You're like, okay, where do I jump in? I'm like, you're ugly or something. You're saying that person's like, why would you say that? I'm like, well, because you just said that thing to him. He's like, yeah, but it was in context. You just called him ugly for no reason. It's like this similar thing where you're feeling out like when to say these things and
when it's appropriate,
and what the impact is, and reading the room. Where on the internet you can't read the room. It's all a virtual. You're losing that personal connection, which I think is what you were trying to say.
And I think what happened too is people don't care to read the room. I think people feel so emboldened by the ability to anonymously post whatever they want in this fantasy world that they don't care who they're hurting. In fact, in most cases, their intent is to hurt.
Yeah.
So it sucks.
And you know what the crazy part is too? You have the power because you have that thought in your head and you have to literally type it out and then you have to hit enter. Where like sometimes you ever get like in a heated argument with somebody and you're like, yeah, that's why your fucking wife left you or something. And you say something like, oh my God, why did I say that? Like that was so below the belt, like something to say, but you're in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
Where like when you think about it and you're like, I'm typing this out. I've done that before where I would start typing something to somebody. I was like, oh, this motherfucker's getting it.
Oh yeah.
But then you have time before you hit that enter key and you're like, let's think about this for a second.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So people on the internet that still do that, where you're like, guess what? Fuck you, pig face, fart lips, boom. And then you hit the enter key. Yeah, it's like, you just sealed the deal, dude. That's it.
I hate my aunt.
But however, you know.
Just kidding. I love my aunts.
Also, there's no. A lot of times things are misinterpreted because you can't see sarcasm in words.
Correct. That's a very good point.
And things get heated. Somebody could just be like agreeing with you but being sarcastic, and you think they're arguing with you and being mean and nasty and attacking you, and they're really not. And then boom, you're in an argument.
Yeah.
That's why I hate texting.
And it's the same. Yeah, same thing.
I despise texting. I mean, it's cool with like close friends and stuff, but like if it's with like a coworker or something a little more like official, I despise texting because it's like, I would experience this all the time when I owned Cinemavericks Media, like just corresponding with customers, paying customers, and you're trying to explain something. And what we did with the filmmaking, sometimes what I'm saying, they're hearing it differently because people have misconceptions about filmmaking.
Yeah.
Can't you just set a camera up and let it do its thing? It doesn't really happen like that. So when you're trying to explain things over email or texting, everything gets convoluted and confusing, and I can't stand it. And it's maddening to me because you can have one sentence and you can have 10 people read that sentence in 10 different ways.
But at the same time, don't ever goddamn call my cell phone because I won't answer it. Just text me. Just text me.
Well, that's like even at work, we use the messenger all the time, and if it's something I want clarity on, I'll just send a message like, "Hey, can I call you?" And you're like, "Why?" No, I'm just kidding. No, it's
I'll text them. I'll text them and be like, "No, just text me."
Text me.
Is what we're doing right now not good enough?
Yeah. What about the friends that call you and then leave you a voicemail? So now you got to go through the trouble of listening to the voicemail. And I have one friend, and I love this friend, who will remain unnamed, who calls, and the voicemail that is always left simply says, "Hey Pat, give me a call."
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
It's like, you couldn't have texted that? I had to go through all this trouble to listen to that?
Yeah.
At least tell me what's wrong.
I don't mind on my new phone because I could read it, like it transcribes it. And so I'm like, okay, I can just read it anyway. But my old phone, and I'll call this person out. Sarah used to just call him and like be like, "Hey, heading home," or something like that. And I was like, one time I called her out. I was like, "Dude, why are you just leaving a short message? I gotta go through, and I have to listen to voicemails. Press 1. If you want to do this, press 2. Like you have to do all this just to hear that." And I told her, and I was like, "Why do you do this to me? What did I ever do to you?"
Why do you do this to me?
And then that's when I found out. She's like, "Why don't you just read it?" And I'm like, "I can't read audio." Like, and I didn't. That's when I first found out that certain phones transcribe. Now I think they all kind of probably do it now.
Most, if not all, do now. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the only reason I threw her under the bus and called her out, because she was right. I could just read the transcription.
But why couldn't she text you though? Let's not breeze past that.
Every once in a while, like randomly. Most times she'll just text me, but once in a while, like she'll be leaving work and she'll call me, and I might, because she doesn't normally call me, I may answer it if I see that she's calling me.
Are we still talking about Sarah?
No. I'm talking about my wife. And so I'll answer it. I'll be like, "Yeah," and she'll be like, "Hey, do we need anything?" And I'm like, "You couldn't have texted me? You had to call me?" Like, stop wasting time.
Yeah, we need to work on our communication skills.
Yeah, we need to work on our communication skills. Text me.
I think sometimes, like, and I'll do this, like, sometimes you just, not to sound too sappy, but sometimes you just want to hear someone's voice, you know? And you want to, and then when you call and then we're irritated because you didn't text, and like, what? And you're like, never mind.
Yeah.
This is not what I wanted. I wanted to hear, hey, how you doing?
I was feeling love.
I just honestly hate being on the phone. Like, I don't know. It's something about it. I've never really liked. I feel like I'm like trapped. Like I can't. Like if you're texting somebody, you just shoot a text and you continue about your business or whatever. If you're on the phone, I start pacing because I feel like I I can't watch a movie. I can't read a book. I can't do yard work because I'm on the phone. You know what I mean? Like I can't
You
do
wouldn't be
anything
doing
else.
that yard work anyway. Let's be honest.
Well, I'm just saying, like I can't do anything but stand
Can't tear
there.
down the fence.
Yeah, which I do need to do.
I'll tell you what. Do you have a Bluetooth headset for your phone?
I don't.
I
Dude,
don't.
get one, because I'll do this all the time, because I do the same thing. If I'm on the phone, I get real fidgety, I can't do anything. I talk to Uncle Mark, like, we try and catch up, like, once a week or something like that. But I can't just sit there and talk. But at the same time, he can't see, so he can't text. And plus, like, it's just nice talking to him.
Well, that's special circumstances.
Yeah. But then I can't just sit there, like, because then I'll start getting on the internet, or I'll start playing guitar or something like that, because I have to be busy.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I just let him know, like, when I call him back, it's usually on the weekend when I'm cleaning the house. I'm like, yeah, I'm cleaning the house and just, talking to you. And then I feel like I could focus more while my hands are occupied doing dumb shit like washing the dishes or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm the same way. I can't just sit. I got to be doing something.
I'll put somebody on speakerphone and start washing dishes or something.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, like I got to do something.
But you got to let people know when you're. This is going back to Cabin in the Woods, too. You got to let people know when you're on speakerphone.
Well, usually it's
for
like my
sure.
mom. Like my mom's pretty much like one of the very few people I actually do talk to on the phone, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm shaving my head right now, Mom. Just so you know, just so if you hear the water running, that's what you know.
I like how you put quotes around shaving my head.
Did I do that? Did I do air quotes?
My head.
Huh. What I meant was my ass.
I'm trimming the hedges right now.
I thought that was a really intriguing view of the comparison between the dream world that we all experience and the internet.
Yeah.
And the freedom that it gives our deep-rooted subconscious an outlet with no repercussions. I just thought was a really intriguing.
Yeah. That's like your subconscious trying to like solve problems and like work things out.
I think there's more to dig into there, and I'm not saying we need to do it now, but I'm just, as life goes on, I think I'm going to have that concept in the back of my head, because I think there has always, obviously, unless you believe in Freddy Krueger, been a separation between the real world and the dream world, right?
You don't believe in Freddy Krueger?
And even though we all at some point experience the dream world, ultimately, whatever happens in the dream world stays in the dream world. It's like a glorified Vegas, all right? And then you come back, and everything's normal. Nothing's changed. But the problem we have now is I think the internet is Paprika in reality. It has given us access to a dream world that we can dabble in with our deep-rooted, effed up subconscious and tendencies and whatever crazy shit we're into with leather and whips and whatever.
No judgment.
But it gives us an outlet to put that shit up there, put it out there into the world, and it exists.
Yeah.
But it's in the real world. You know what I'm saying? It's we brought the dream world outlet into the real world, and now people are using it to unleash their deep-rooted thoughts and feelings and hatreds, and it's here now. So I think that's really intriguing.
It's like and people have avatars, kind of like a Paprika. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is different because like just the difference between Paprika and Chiba, their personalities were completely opposite. Yeah, that happens to me at work sometimes because I support, like, without getting too much into it, a wide area, and sometimes I'm communicating with people online for a while, and then we're chatting and stuff, like, laughing and stuff, and I meet them and they're very like quiet and very like reserved. I'm like, this is not the person or the opposite, where it's like real short answers. Yes, no, okay, meet you here. And I meet them and they're just like like we're having a great time and laughing. I'm like, oh man, I thought you had zero personality. And it was like,
so isn't that wild though? So how many times, and we don't have to name names or talk specifics, but I'm sure I'm sure we all have experienced people in our lives who, right, wrong, or indifferent, whatever the case is, whatever your view may be, there are some people I have found in modern day life that enjoy their internet life more than their real world life.
Oh, sure.
They've created a persona on the internet that they enjoy going to and spending their time there.
Yeah. Which is weird because we have the perfect like format to create personas, but we don't. The three of us are being ourselves
Yeah.
We're not playing roles when we're doing this. Like, this is just how we are.
Which is really strange. Now that's weird that you guys are bringing this up, because this is weird to me, because I feel like the internet in this case is giving me an opportunity to be more myself, like hanging out with you guys, like, you know what I mean? Because I feel like at work you have to put on a mask. You know, certain people you hang out with, you have to wear this thing. But like, I think because we've known each other so long and through each other's developments and all that, like, this is who we are. And the internet has kind of, but in this case with COVID and stuff, because we're doing this remotely, it's given us a chance just to like be ourselves. But then again, back to the whole persona versus self, which we also talked, which one's real, which one's not. Like, is your maybe your online persona is really who you are deep down inside, you know what I mean? And like the weight of the world holds you back, you know what I mean?
You keep it in, it reminds me of the Office with what was it, Second Life? Dwight.
Oh yeah, the Dwight.
He's exactly the same as the real life Dwight, except he can fly. Was that what it was?
Awesome.
Yeah, and then doesn't Jim eventually make an avatar?
I think he does. Yeah, man.
Dude, this is way back in the day. There was a group of people I used to play online like Xbox games with. So we would work together, and then we would get off work and then get online and play games. And it was when Saints Row came out. I don't remember if it was the first one or whatever one was, but we all like.
I was living with you when the first one came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wonder if it was that. You might remember this then. I was at my brother's house, I think. Yeah, I was at my brother's house when this happened, but his house after that. But I remember I was playing Saints Row, and they had like a character creation thing, and I made a character, and there just happened to be like I could make myself as a character, like it looked exactly like me. Like, even, do you remember the period I went through where I was just wearing white button-up shirts all the time?
Yeah.
Like striped white button-up shirts?
Yep.
So I basically made a character with a black baseball cap, like a shitty, scraggly beard, a white button-up striped shirt, like cargo shorts or whatever the hell I was wearing at the time. And like, it literally looked just like me. I was like, oh, this is hilarious. So when I got online and I was talking to him, I was like, yeah, I'll be online in a minute. I'm just finishing up my character. And I jumped in a game with them into the lobby. And when they saw my character, they fucking were rolling, dude. They were roaring. They were like, holy shit, it looks just like him.
So that's weird. Like, people will do like their avatars to look like themselves. And I've never like done that. Like, I always try to make it look as outlandish as possible.
Yeah.
Like, I never go for realistic when I create an online avatar for whatever reason. So I guess
Trying to live that subconscious life in your internet dream world.
I guess, yeah.
You're deep down inside just an abstract person.
Yeah. I guess so.
You're very obtuse.
Shall I continue on Pat's points here?
Yes,
Yeah, please do.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of fat shaming in this movie. You guys pick up on that?
Yes, but I think that was character driven, because we all know how Tokaido and Chiba, like Chiba has feelings for Tokaido, obviously, which we find out at the end. Did we watch the same movie? You guys with me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yes,
I'm
okay,
hanging
yeah.
in.
So at the end, you know, there's this whole thing, and I think there was some subtext that was lost on me, but I think it was.
Did you almost say tub text?
There's some dubstep there that I missed.
No, tub text.
Oh, tub text, yeah.
Tying in with the fat shaming.
Yeah.
Oh god.
But I think it was something, it was some relationship just between the two of them.
I agree, and it played into the story later with that whole elevator scene, and then when she helped get him out, and the emotions that later on, when it came full circle, that moment with him meant something different. You know, like there was a setup there.
It served the story.
But even still, it was not subtle about the fat comments.
Yeah. Yeah, she's
It
like,
was
you're
like-
fat, you're sloppy,
Yeah, just put him on full
you're a
blast.
mess.
Yeah. And he took it like a champ, because obviously they had a relationship more similar to what we have, where like if I make fun of Mike,
Don't fucking call me fat.
Well, there was the one scene though when he has like the weird goofy goggles on and stuff, and she really lays into him and then walks out, and he just silently sits there for a minute.
yeah.
And it just kind of sadly, slowly gets up and then goes and picks the thing up that she slapped out of his hand.
Yeah.
Like, that was, I think, kind of a turning point. I felt really bad for him, too.
Yeah. What else I got? Oh, so this actually, it brought in, so we talked about Inception, but there was actually another movie that was brought to mind with a scene in here, at least earlier in the film. There was a scene where Detective Toshimi, the hallway scene that I kept going back to, at one point in his dream, he killed himself.
Yeah.
Which obviously reminded me of 12 Monkeys, which 12 Monkeys was an inspiration from La Jetée, which is from 1962, which is a French short film.
Yeah. Which we all know means to bluff.
Oh, does it mean that?
No, that was a line from Princess Bride. No,
Oh, so you were bluffing.
Yeah.
I wasn't even going to bite on that. I let Mike walk into that trap.
Oh no, I watched it. I looked up at your face and I watched you just waiting for the fucking
froze.
shit to go down. Yeah.
Don't even move.
I fell for it. I'm a dick.
All right, so anyway, yeah, so the whole I killed myself moment, I've always loved that. 12 Monkeys is something that's definitely going to pop up on the Guild here eventually. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was cool too, bringing that whole someone witnessing their own death.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot to be said about that because we kind of didn't even really talk about his whole story with the, you know, what drives him and how he became who he was and what he's carrying. Because this movie, not only does it deal with dreams and all that, it deals with like grief, regret.
Yeah.
You know, just baggage that we carry with us, which ties into dreams because I have trouble sleeping. I usually get up every night like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and I can't get back to sleep because I've lately been dealing with like, you know, we talked about before my mom passed away like this past summer and I'm subconsciously feel like still dealing with a lot of that and I don't really think about it throughout the day, but while I'm dreaming, I constantly dream about her, like, and my dad all the time. Like I had a dream about my dad last night. Like I just like, it's like these things, but like during the day I don't think about it. So it was really kind of cool watching this and it kind of made me feel normal. And that you know, it's just your mind and everything kind of readjusting to things.
Well, let's not get carried away with you being normal.
Yeah, that kind of struck me too. I was like,
It's cute. It's cute that you said that, but
if that helps you sleep at
I'm
night.
just kidding.
Am I in the club yet, guys?
All right. So, but it's interesting though because so the dreams in this film, and we have to talk about this, escapism. So they talk about the dream world, which is escapism. They talk about the internet, which is escapism. And they talk about film, all in this film, all about escapism, all about us trying to find ways of getting out of our, you know, humdrum, boring-ass lives and into something that's, you know, I don't know, more wild or whatever. No rules. Who knows? But I did find it really intriguing that they went that route to the point where, so next on my notes I have how they talk about some of the rules in filmmaking. So they talk about the 180-degree rule. That's filmmaking 101, but most people probably wouldn't even think about it. And they talk about pan focus, which is just a deep focus. I appreciated that they did that. I always love those little Easter eggs to kind of filmmakers, you know, that they just drop in films to make us feel like, hey, I know what that is.
Yeah.
But the ultimate point, though, is that this film is all about that escapism, and we have so many avenues to do so. Obviously, dreams we can't control, but internet and films we can. So, and that's something that I think a lot of people, I mean, we're losing ourselves in the MacGuffin Guild these days anyway, so we can't hate too much because,
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Video games, another one.
Video
which
games,
just kind of
yeah.
ties into the internet. Yeah.
That's true.
Actually, I feel like that falls somewhere between internet and film, I think, as far as escapism goes.
Yeah. So real quick, just for the listeners then, the 180-degree rule, do you guys know what that is?
I do. And, well, it's explained in the film anyway, but
Yeah.
yes, I remember.
So there's that rule that obviously, you know, they explain it in the film, but for anyone who hasn't seen the film, if you have two subjects in a film talking to each other and the scene is cutting back and forth between character A and character B, character A is looking to the right, character B is looking to the left because they're speaking to each other. So what you have to do as a filmmaker is you draw an invisible line between them, and you never cross that line. So you stay on the 180 degrees on this side of the line. Because if you cross that line and you film one of them and you cut it together, they're going to be looking in the opposite direction. So then you're going to have two characters that are speaking to each other, but since you filmed one of them from the other side of that line, they're now going to both be looking in the same direction.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I didn't see the movie yet, but from what I heard, this movie I saw because we're talking about it, but the one I'm getting ready to reference.
Okay.
I heard in Veronica that wasn't the case. I heard there was a lot of, like, I love Glenn Danzig and like his music and all that stuff, but a slight criticism that I heard and I haven't experienced myself is I heard in Veronica there was like a lot of like breaking of those basic rules that made a lot of the scenes kind of confusing about what was going on.
Yeah, and it's shit like that takes the viewer instantly out of a movie. When they get confused, they disengage. And that's when you lost them. So if you break those basic rules. But I love that in Paprika how they dabbled in that. They talked about it. I thought that was so cool. Like I love that. And then just talk about, like I said, the pan focus as well, which is just having to do with depth of field, which is another tool that is used by filmmakers. There's something, if you ask any of my filmmaking friends, I've always been a huge fan of like the rack focus, which is when you have an extremely shallow depth of field and you put whatever the subject is in the scene, whether it be an inanimate object or a character, but you put them in focus and everything else in that scene is out of focus. And what a rack focus is you take the section of that scene that is in focus and you rack that focus to something else. So it's the way a filmmaker can lead a viewer's eye. You see it all the time in film, where you might see a phone sitting in the foreground and it's in focus and it's ringing, and then it'll rack focus to the actor standing in the background looking at the phone. But it guided our eyes subconsciously, because most people don't even think about it. As the rack focus is happening, we're just kind of following what we can see. But I love those very subtle filmmaking techniques to kind of like, subconsciously fool viewers into looking in particular places that they don't think
you've
about.
mentioned that rack focus before, so it's cool that...
Pat's all about the rack
you
focus.
mentioned it before, and I wasn't 100% sure on what exactly it was, so... That is pretty cool, man.
Pay attention to it in film. Focus on the rack focus. And also focus on the shallow depth of field. There's one movie we referenced recently. I forget what episode it was.
Judgment Night?
No. It was
that
The
was
Mist.
a split diopter or whatever. What is? Yeah.
Split diopter. The Mist is what we were talking about, which is that I forget where we even discussed it, but talking about that ending that was a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But the point of it is, if you watch that film, and I want to watch it again because it was shot, God, I don't know for sure, but almost entirely shallow depth of field. If you watch that film, that focus is so tight. Whoever's on film is in focus, but what's in front of them and what's behind them is out of focus. And I love that. It's really shallow depth of field.
Because I think also because that story is so much about the interactions with the people. Is that what that's doing?
Yeah, you're paying attention to
drawing
that.
focus on the people.
Yeah, I think
But also allowing to show that there's a bunch of other people in the background without focusing on them?
I think it's doing one of two things. Either it's doing that, it's focused on just the individual, so keeping you real in tight on what they're saying, or it's trying to subconsciously present a feeling of claustrophobia that you don't think about, because you're not feeling like the viewer isn't feeling like they can take a breath of fresh air because it's all wide open and everything's going to be okay. Everything's real tight and cloudy and like it's all right here.
I love that. I love those little subtle things that like I don't like when they rely on those things too much, but I love that there's little helpers that like help build, like it's a bunch of different pieces.
Well, it's good when you don't really notice it. You know what I mean?
That's the whole key. Yeah. Like a magician, try to pull off the trick without people noticing it.
Those are camera tricks, you know?
But when it's used in a subtle way where people don't even realize why they're feeling the way they're feeling, that's what it's all about, cracking that code. But so they talk about a pan focus in this as well, and for anyone who's wondering, that's a deep focus. That's just like a wide angle. Everything in the foreground, background, it's all in focus.
It's all in focus, right?
Yeah. So, and that's the opposite of that would be a very shallow focus, which is tight, like what you would see in The Mist. Oh, this was a great line. Quote, "The fact I know I'm drunk is proof that I'm sober."
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that was awesome.
When he's in that little bar, or not really, but he's in that bar, yeah.
Justin, you got to write that one down.
I locked that one down early on, yeah. I've used that, I think, in the past.
Yeah, I believe it. The de-skin scene was something else.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. All right, so that is pretty much all I have for Pat's points. So unless you fellas have anything that you want to talk about before we proceed to the next phase, now would be the time. So Justin, Mike, you have anything to add or ask?
I do not.
Justin?
Nope.
You don't?
I thought I did. I was like looking through. I was like, it's not really that important. It was like,
Well, what is it? Just tell me.
there was a little confusion, and Sarah and I had a discussion when she was kind of tied up. We kind of talking with the skin rip, where he kind of rips through Paprika.
You're talking about
and then
Paprika, yeah.
Chiba there. She mentioned something about like he did some dirty business or something to get it, and I thought that he had like some sexual relationship with the old man. And then she's like, no, it was with the little guy dressed like a doll. So there was a little confusion about what happened there, but I think we finally worked it out earlier. We were talking on the phone about it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but I remember him being kinky. What was it? I remember seeing a flash of something of his, what he was into.
The doll man or the other guy?
No, the what's his name? Osani.
Yeah.
Okay, so explain,
I think-
because now I'm getting more confused.
So Osani was obsessed with Paprika / actually, I think he was obsessed with Chiba?
Chiba.
Not, yeah, he was obsessed with Chiba, but not Osani. Or, Jesus Christ.
He
Let me start
is
that over.
Osani.
Holy.
Okay, say that sentence again.
Brothers and sisters, I have none. This man's father's my father's son. Is that what I just did? Oh, anyway.
Yeah.
So, Osani was obsessed with Chiba, but not necessarily Paprika. Where most of the other males were obsessed with Paprika.
Yeah.
So,
Because she was the more kind of like fun-loving,
Yeah.
letting loose.
so that was his thing. But he was also obsessed with gaining this power. So in order to gain the power to get the DC Mini, he did some sexual stuff with somebody. That she brings it up and he's like, I don't want to think about it. And he like cringes, like how low he stooped to get
Sunk.
it. And I thought it was with the old man, but she was like, no, it was with the doll guy, which I should think of what his name is.
Yeah, I don't have the doll guy's name right
Yeah,
now.
but anyway, I thought it was the old man because I felt like the doll man guy was kind of more of a contemporary, and I felt he could have found different means like extortion or something to do it, where the old man was kind of more powerful. And that he you would have to rely on favors instead of manipulation. And the fact that towards the end of the movie, when they're both like in his bedroom in robes, like made me think that.
Oh, yeah.
But after talking and discussing about it, I think it was the doll man.
Himuro. Himuro.
Yeah, I think it was the doll man guy because when he looks at the dirty stuff on his shelf when they go in the room, he's like disgusted by it. Also, in Himuru's dream, it has a statue of Osani, like as this like
I
figure
remember
of
that.
masculinity.
Oh, yeah.
There's all, which Sarah pointed that out, of course. So there's like all these things that led us to that, and I think when we were discussing it at the very beginning, when they leave the dream and it has the detective and the and Paprika, they're in like a hotel room. They're both wearing robes, so that actually has more to do with the relaxation instead of actually dirty business.
Okay, so real quick, we have to give a little context because this is kind of coming back to me now as we're talking about it. So, Mike, what was the name you just told us?
Himuro,
who was... We see him as this doll figure throughout, correct? But was he not the character that was the partner of Tokita?
Correct.
That invented the DC Mini?
Yeah.
So that would make sense then that his the sexual relations of Osani would be with him because that guy had an in on this technology.
Yeah, that's where he actually got the device from. He got it right from him.
Yeah. So that makes sense. So yeah, when we were talking about the doll man earlier, I was forgetting initially who that doll man was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we never see him in the real world. We see him only, it's almost like he's already left
Reality.
you know, because he's like cut out of the picture.
No, I think we do. Because when
we?
she goes to the amusement park, his body drops to the ground, and that's when they do surgery to remove the DC Mini from him because it kind of starts digging deep into his body.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that I remember that now. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. I'll give this a second viewing.
Yeah. Also, the what's the short scientist guy's name?
The short scientist is Shima
Yeah.
Tora.
The best part about him, every once in a while, his expressions of joy, most notably towards the end when he I think he has to wake up Chiba, and I guess he's kissing her or something. She wakes up and slaps him in the face. But it shows him going back, like, but as he's going back, he's like smiling, like he has this look of joy on his face because he was clearly like kind of like had a thing for her from the beginning.
Yeah. For sure.
So yeah, he had this weird kind of creep vibe, but it was also like kind of funny.
An endearing creep vibe, like Mike.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was getting to. But yeah, cut all the
creepy
shit
but
out.
harmless. Well,
It's in the eye of the beholder, I suppose.
at least I like to disarm people by making them think I'm harmless.
Like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or John Wayne Gacy.
Ted Bundy is the one I always think of.
He's super duper at that.
He's super.
I'm not as handsome as him though.
I have my car for some reason, like the doors won't unlock until you put it in park or something, and sometimes the passenger doors won't unlock. You have to manually do it. So sometimes people are riding with me and they're like, and I'm like, oh, you have to hit the button. They're like, okay. I was like, I call them Bundy Doors, and no one to this day has called me out on it. They're like, oh, I get it. Like,
Okay, yeah.
Right. You know, I don't like those door features because I have one that as soon as you put it in park, they unlock regardless of whether you want
that's
them
what
to
mine does.
unlock or
Yeah,
not.
mine too.
Dude, I can't stand that. What if I'm stopping because I have an emergency and there's a guy with an axe
yeah.
or whatever trying to get in my car? You're just going to welcome him in? Like, keep the shit locked until I say so.
It might work in your favor. He might be like distracted, be like, "Oh, you unlocked the door." Like it might stun him. Like I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting to just swing through, grab him.
But then again, if he has an axe, I guess the windows aren't going to stop him.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Anyway, any final thoughts before we get to ratings?
No, I had some that could be cut that I just said. So
No. What? Okay. I don't.
they were lame.
Mike?
Nah, I got nothing.
Okay. So, Justin, you're good.
Yes.
Are you sure?
I keep looking. I feel like I had something else, but I don't see anything on
I
there.
feel like you have something, too. I feel like you're getting ready to, like, drop a bomb, and you're just not bringing it up.
Yeah, I feel like I had something else, but I don't have it written down. I'm looking. We'll just let it go because it's already getting long enough as it is.
I will say this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, that's a question I wanted to ask you guys.
Wrong.
Bitch.
You said correct you if you're wrong, and then you said that's a question I wanted to ask you guys.
So, what is the character we're supposed to be following in this film? My answer would be Detective Toshimi.
That's kind of what came to my mind when you asked the question, because I mean they kind of give him a deeper story arc than anybody else,
And he gets some closure.
Yeah, for sure.
And even his closure, though, what I thought was really interesting about this film is even his closure was just more escapism.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So it's like they took him out of the dream world and put him right back into the film world. It's like either way, and then that's after he spent all this time on the internet world.
But
Well, I think it was
but it brought him back to the film world that he used to find enjoyment in. You know what I mean? Like it brought him back. It reconnected him to that world.
It was acceptance of things he couldn't change. You know what I mean? He carried this guilt around of like abandoning his partner,
Right.
and then when he just realized he had to live his life, that the partner was like, whatever.
So how devastating is this now, knowing what we know? Because his partner died after he said he wanted to make a film, right?
Yeah,
Just like Satoshi Kon,
yeah, that's kind of crazy.
kind
isn't
of
it?
like what's the saying?
Life imitating art.
Yep, thank you. There it is. Yeah, so that would be the character I would say. Justin, would you agree with that, or do you think there's someone else
so.
that? Thank you, Justin.
No, I totally agree with you because also he's the first character you see and he's the last character you see. You know what I mean in the movie. So yeah, that's actually very interesting. Like he's the one you're traditionally following the traditional story from, but there's much more going on around.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a MacGuffin.
All right, speaking of MacGuffins, shall we rate this thing?
Word.
Yeah.
All right, Justin, I'll give you the ability. No, I'll give you the authority is the word I'm looking for. Justin, I will give you the authority to choose how we are rating this, in what order.
I'm going to choose myself to go first.
Okay.
And then Mike. And then you.
Okay.
I'm just going to go 7.2
All right.
because ratings.
All right. Any follow-up? Any...
No, I really like it a lot.
Summarizations?
I think I want to watch more of his films. Actually, a lot of anime or Japanese animation, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of them I really want to catch up on because we even watched a few series. We were watching Kill la Kill and Doro Hey Doro, I think, which we really liked a lot. So yeah, I'm kind of like, I'm not like an expert, but I've scratched the surface. I like what I'm seeing, and I like to dig into it. So this one I particularly like because it's dreams. It's a little more cinematic in a way that I'm used to. Like,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It follows more of a cinematic structure. That
I know exactly what you mean because I've seen some anime where you're just like, it's so alien to the way we perceive films that it's like jarring, and it's very hard to get yourself in that headspace.
Yeah. And I just love everything Japanese anyway. Like, I got super excited because I saw the Criterion channel, and they have like this whole thing on like Japanese noir.
Oh,
and I'm like,
okay.
I was like, I want to take a week off and just sit here and binge watch like every one of these things. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm going to change it. 7.3. I'm going to move it up a notch.
Let me bump that up a notch, okay?
But yeah, that's it. I'm not going to dwell. I pretty much said my piece, so.
All right, so
Very curious to see what you got to say.
7.4?
No, he said 3.
No, I know. I'm just giving him a chance, final chance.
I'll stick with 3.
Okay. All right, Mike?
All right, so, yeah, I enjoyed this film. I definitely need to watch it again, and talking with you guys did help fill in some of the blanks that I was missing. But also reading up on it after watching it helped too. But I want to watch it again with that knowledge, and that way I can be like, oh, okay, now I get it. But visually, this movie is like stunning. There's a lot of that. Well, obviously it's dream stuff, so it's very surreal. And Justin, I wanted to mention this real quick because Pat, you may not know this one, but some of the stuff, especially with like the circus type stuff, reminded me of Santa Sangre.
Oh yeah.
Like I got like a vibe of that from it, which that's a Jodorowsky film, Pat.
Yeah.
If you ever do see that movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll probably catch that.
Are you talking to me or the listeners?
Well, anyone, but Pat, I'm specifically talking to you, but yeah, the listeners as well.
And anyone who's not familiar with Jodorowsky's work, listen to at least our episode on The Holy Mountain.
Which, man, that's my favorite Jodorowsky film.
Yeah, that is a wild film.
Yeah.
So overall, I definitely enjoyed this movie, and I think I will give it a solid 7.
Wow.
Pretty high for someone who has no fucking idea what's going on.
Well, no, I do now. I do, like, for the most part.
I'm just kidding. I don't know if I'm going to be quite as high as both of you guys, but I'm only going to be a couple notches under. And the only reason is because I've never been a huge fan of the Japanese animation, and it's no knock on it. It's just, I mean, it's not you, it's me. I never dove in. And I do think I'm going to dive in now. Like I said, I'm going to start with these 4 films, the Satoshi Kon films, and I'll see where they take me. Yeah, we talked about visually stunning. Awesome. I do love the dream stuff. I do love the stuff. And this is one thing I do want to mention, and I'm glad I thought of it before the episode was over, is I remember seeing, and I'm sure there's some friends, maybe even some of you guys, that when Inception came out, when I would talk to people about Inception, I would say that Inception is a game changer. And you can kind of like, you can mark some of the game changers over, every 8 to 10 years, whatever, another game changer comes along. Jurassic Park was a game changer. It just changes the trajectory of filmmaking. Sure. And Inception, I perceived when I saw it in the theater, was a game changer. I loved it. So And there was something about seeing that film in the theater. It was like awe-inspiring. I remember thinking at the time when, Christopher Nolan came out, he wrote and directed this film, which was just like a mind F. And I was like, holy shit. Like the levels and the thought and the planning and the creativity that had to go into creating this, which, dealing with the dreams and dealing with those sensations and deja vu and all these things that I just thought was so freaking cool. And it's still an awesome movie. It's still up there as far as I'm concerned. But I remember thinking that, like, wow, how does one man come up with these ideas where all of that concept of mine and that perception of mine went out the window? Not all of it, but a good chunk of it went out the window when I watched Paprika.
Yeah.
Because that really was the foundation of what ended up becoming Inception. Whether Nolan wants to admit it or not, it has to be.
It was the inception of Inception.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's no knock on Inception. Inception took those concepts and made it more digestible. What I learned through watching Paprika is my ignorance led me to have the feelings about Inception that I had. I gave so much props to Nolan, not realizing that this concept had been dabbled in before. So Paprika being one of the prime examples of where that was done. So I definitely wanted to give that shout out. So
building on what you just said about that is we didn't even touch on Perfect Blue and Darren Aronofsky's influence, where there's literally scenes for scene or shot for shot scenes lifted right from Perfect Blue that are in Requiem for a Dream.
Oh, and then Black Swan as well.
Yeah, Black Swan as well. Yeah, so
that's wild.
So and there's some talk that he like bought the rights to Perfect Blue just so he could use those scenes, but apparently that's all bullshit. That never happened.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
He just lifted them, and I guess he said it was an homage. Even Satoshi, which I think he was kind of like, okay, whatever, because I saw him in like an interview in that video where he was like, yeah, he told me that it was an homage, and like they never even met until after Requiem for a Dream. They didn't even meet until after that movie already came out, so it's not even like something was brokered between them. He was just like, and then when I guess when Satoshi Kon saw him, he's like, oh yeah, it was an homage to you, and then I think he was dubious about that. I think he was like, you just kind of
thanks,
like rip my scenes and put them in. I don't know, who knows? I'm not trying to talk shit on anyone. I'm just trying to say like, who knows what happened, So, but there's definitely an influence.
The ultimate point is that the influence and the impact that these films have on modern day filmmakers that we all love.
Yeah. And to take it a step farther, what you'll love is, who was inspiration to Satoshi Kon?
Who?
Was Terry Gilliam.
Oh, wow.
Also going back to 12 Monkeys.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
That's wild. Okay, so like his filmmaking or his like Monty Python animation?
His filmmaking.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So it's all
interconnected.
Everybody ripping off everybody else.
Yeah. That's why I say like,
shit.
And it's nothing about like what's original and all that stuff. Like we're all like, not to get too hippie about it, but we're all kind of like part of the same living organism on Earth, you know what I mean? And we're all kind of like feeding each other, and we're all kind of like living off each other, and it's like, we're inspiring each other and growing from each other. So
it's like writing advice I got from a writer friend of mine at one point, where I had a story idea and I was all gung-ho about it. I was all ready to write it, and then I found out that someone else had written something very, very similar to that idea, and I expressed dismay, and my writer friend said, write it anyway. Write it your way, and it'll be different.
Yeah, it's
like
true.
Your personal experience, your other influences will make it different and make it your own. So
every creative type person I know has that same story, like somewhere. Yeah. Sarah, similar thing. She had this idea for this artwork she wanted to do, and then she saw someone else did the same thing, like right after. She's like, I can't do it now because that was gonna, even though she was working on for like 10 years,
It stings, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess now would be a good time to tell you that we are the second MacGuffin Guild. No. I'm
What?
just kidding.
Oh, you fucker.
Is that
Just
true?
joking. No.
Help me
Man,
flip
you
this
pulled a Justin on Justin.
I know.
No, there are other podcasts out there called MacGuffin.
Yeah,
And there's,
I've
like-
seen stuff with the
Yeah,
title or with the
MacGuffin,
word in it.
MacGuffin podcast, MacGuffin news. I don't know, MacGuffin stuff. But
So, Pat, what's your rating?
my rating is I'm going to give this a 6.7. And it might go up over time, like once I get that second viewing in. But my gut is just telling me to kind of float in that area right now.
That's
So,
fair.
That gives us an average of 7 on the nose.
So I win.
Man, almost hit that 6.9 again.
Oh yeah.
You know,
All right,
I
I'll go-
was
I'll
going to
go
go like a
6.6.
6.8 or a 6.9, and I was like, nah, I'm not doing that again. So I went with 7.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If I would have gone 6.6, it would have gotten us to 6.9. Damn it.
Yeah, but you would have
All right.
you wouldn't have been true to yourself.
What if
That's
Justin
true.
had stuck with his 7.2 instead of his
Oh
7.3?
yeah, Justin, you fucked it up.
You fucked it
You
up. You
literally
changed it.
took us out of the 6.9.
Ah, you bitch.
Wow.
Change it again.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a shame. All right, well, that's all I have. Unless you guys have anything, I think we can shut this thing down.
I think that's it. Just thanks everybody still hanging in there and listening to this, and I hope I hope you enjoy it. Like we're not getting paid for this, we're not making money off it. It's strictly, for us meeting each other and having fun, and hopefully other people enjoying it too. Yeah.
But we're having fun doing it, so you know what?
Yeah.
No, it's awesome. I wouldn't trade this for anything.
You would trade it for money, though.
No, I don't think I would do
Obviously.
that. No. Well, not if only if you guys were getting the same amount of money. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I heard what you said, but your eyes were saying otherwise.
All right. Yeah, I gotta turn the zoom off. I do that. Anyway, no, that's I agree with what Justin said. This is it's been awesome to have all of you along for the ride. Spread the word to your friends to join the guild, and
Yeah.
it's make this guild as big as we can make it and have fun. And we want to hear your thoughts. It's been exciting because there's been people that have been commenting on our stuff and with their ideas and their perspectives and their concepts of films, and it's been really fun to see. And that's what it's all about. That's what we've been trying to build, just a platform for all of us to just kind of like put our heads together and have fun and laugh, and it's just been good.
And honestly, it should be like a safe spot for people just to like share even like your like weird ideas about movies or something like that. Because we're all in the like weird like, okay, I didn't think about this aspect or something like that.
Sure.
Because there's no dumb ideas except for like the real dumb ones. But you'll know when you
Just dumb people.
Yeah. So.
You're listening to 3 of them right now.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
Yeah, could, honestly, I want you to think about this. Is anything you're thinking any dumber than anything you just listened to in the last hour and a half, 2 hours? Probably not. So it's like, it should be pretty
Yeah,
safe.
chances are you're pretty good.
Justin,
Yeah.
that might be our best selling point yet.
Yeah. We said Satoshi Kon about 800 times in this episode, and not twice did we say it the same way twice. So, somewhere in there once we probably said it right. So.
Yeah. All right, so follow us on our social media on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Discord, and be a part of this. We
That
would love
Discord is popping.
it. Yeah. All right, well, that's all I got. Mike, Justin, you got anything?
Nope.
No,
Okay.
sir.
All right, let's shut it down. We will see you all next week for Tango and Cash.
Oh,
That should
yeah,
be
I forgot
fun.
about that.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I haven't
me
seen that in a
too.
long time.
We're going to just shuffle the deck and just have some good old-fashioned 80s action movie fun.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
a slugfest.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
We will see you all in a week, and have a great something. I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
As long
Is
as
it Arbor Day yet?
as long as it's a great something.
What's coming up? Is it
Oh, Cinco de Mayo. When's this coming? It's probably going to be close to Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let's
That's
see.
May 5th. What day is that?
Oh, yeah, this is going to be released on Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, well, happy Cinco de Mayo, then. Shit.
Cue the mariachi music.
Yeah, there we go. Cinco de Mayo.
And just imagine
have
confetti and stuff's falling right now.
Yeah, have a fun Cinco de Mayo. Be safe, and thank you for spending your Cinco de Mayo with us.
Yeah.
Never thought I'd say that.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll see you guys next week.
Yep.
Justin, Mike, peace.
I'm gonna see you.
Bye.
I raised you better than this.